Good morning, everybody. Very exciting to see you all, partners from this project and from the industry. And I'm happy to introduce you to this initiative and what's happening in the last 2 years from the moment this was launched here on the stage and our future vision. So the National Drone Initiative, one of the special things here is the partnership of several governmental agencies, each from its own perspective, to bring together this national infrastructure. We have the Innovation Authority that push innovation in this ecosystem, the aerial dimension, the regulation, from their perspective, from the Smart Transportation Authority under the governmental Ministry of Transportation, that we are under that, and each from its own angle to promote you, to promote the state, the industry in this field. And if I look at our perspective of Ayalon, we started from congestion in the roads, to utilize the aerial dimension that is open, that is available in the city, and to move some of the ground transportation to the aerial dimension. We understood that in order to do this, there are other processes that must be done simultaneously in order to enable this, if it's regulation, if it's the technological dimension, the system that will give an aerial picture, a combined picture, and if it's the financial dimension to reduce costs and justify this system financially. In the next phase, promoting ground infrastructure as far as enabling drones for the public, other partners that we have along the way, and we'll touch upon this later. Mafat and Yeruham in the test bed that is being developed down there, and other partners for pilots that we're doing these days from the public sector and the semi-public, like health sector, mail, railroad, all have their own uses, different uses, but all have to do with drones, to see how they all come together and become more practical out in the field. As far as the vision, we want to allow a structure, a national structure, to enable autonomous operation of drones in an urban environment with all the challenges and difficulties, and bring it to financial feasibility. So the country will continue to push the industry has to sustain itself. Ultimately, the goal is to make an ecosystem that is local and a test bed site that will leave the technologies here in Israel and not have them immediately ushered abroad. So all the wonderful ideas that are germinated here. We launched 2 years ago. Alon talked about this. We started a moment before COVID with the first assessment to see that we have partners out there. There were a lot of people that wanted to be on board. We set out under the Innovation Authority called Living Together or Togetherness Program. Its goal was to have demonstrations, and for 2 years, and at the end of every quarter, we had altogether 8 sessions with challenges that are increasing in volume and complexity, and the companies or the groups that got funding from the Innovation Authority develop, aside the challenges that come out from the field, a UTM system that controls the aerial dimension, the aerial picture, and other systems all connect into it, all the companies that are active out there. And ultimately the goal is to have one place that sees an aerial picture that is combined, authorizes flight plans requested from all the entities flying in the area, and the regulator alongside us in the initiative sees what challenges come up from the field, what needs to be changed in regulation, and ultimately we want to have operational systems and a set of rules, regulations that enable these systems to work. Other activities that happened during the last 2 years, we had a collaboration with the health administration with COVID, utilizing on the one hand the closed airspace, and on the other hand an attempt to ease the problems arising from COVID, moving vaccines and medications from site to site, from point A to point B, or from a central hub, and also sending out samples in a special temperature. And so this had its own technological challenges. Tests in Yeruham in the south to test technologies that enable flying things in a restricted area as far as satellite jamming, flying in an urban environment where there are many people, so safety here is above all. We have to see that there is a technological answer to each and every challenge, so we don't find ourselves where we crash and, God forbid, hurt someone. Establish the test bed in Yeruham and expand the distances so we can fly longer, away from line of sight and higher capacities, heavier payloads. This is what we were asked especially from the health administration. They found this is what we need in order to connect the periphery to the center, skip over the traffic jams, and these are the needs that came up from the field. Here we have pictures from Tzfat, from the hospital, transferring samples and vaccines in a cooled box. Another thing that we did during the last operation in Gaza, Guardian of the Walls, was to support the Home Front Command in finding impact sites and assessing damage. Here we gave a quick response. Teams were on alert, and there was a very fast response and a good demonstration of capabilities for all the emergency agencies and first responders. The ability to relay imagery to the rear, and these are things that we did not have in the past, so to watch it all from one command post. Some numbers, we had 3 sessions out of 8. The last demonstration was in October. As far as the complexity of these demonstrations that we did, in the last one we operated 2 control systems, one that covered the Cedar region, and one was the Tel Aviv municipality area, altogether 6 flight areas and urban areas and peripheral, inside neighborhoods and around the neighborhoods. We flew more than 300 sorties a day, altogether more than 9,000 flights altogether. Compared to where we were as a state, as a country, the development that we did, there is no such thing as far as the capacity of demonstrations in the world, and this launched the industry and all of us forward. As far as the applications that were demonstrated, from sending sushi, ice cream, food, to monitoring transportation from a unmanned system, like for instance in Ayalon street in Tel Aviv, assessing. We also crossed roads, and as far as regulation, this was a challenge, one step forward for us, and the interest that we see this brings in the world. As far as the media exposure, we were covered by more than 55 reporters worldwide, South America, North America, East, Europe, and this was a worldwide coverage. We are creating a lot of interest and exposure to our activity. The next thing we will do is in a month, in December. In the next demonstration or show, we will have the Tel Aviv region flights and also in Yeruham to expand more the capabilities and uses with drones. Also to see what we do with weather. We saw this in the last demonstration. The upcoming winter will present its challenges for drones, winds and rain, capabilities of flying at night that we are now restricted in doing so, and flying USSP of neighboring systems and transferring between them. A video. This was from the last show we did.
תקשיב, פעם אחת תרגמתי את א' ב'. אצלי היה לו.
What you can see here is the control command post systems in Savidor, in Tel Aviv, and Yeruham, the next phase. So, as far as the testbed in Yeruham, together with Mafad, Ministry of Defense, and the city of Yeruham, we found a site, military site, that has been allocated for testing drones, and it enables dual use also for military industries and other industries to create a national infrastructure to be used by all of us. In coordination with the Air Force, we can test things that cannot be done elsewhere. On the one hand, we enable the companies to learn the technologies, test their technologies in circumstances that they cannot see elsewhere, in a sterile environment without endangering anybody around. And the second, for the regulator to receive indications about these technologies in a reliable way from sensors that will be positioned in the field and cameras that will monitor the tests, different jammers that we will do there inside a flight cage that will be eventually erected there in a very large scale, 40 meters high, something that does not exist anywhere. And in parallel, also tests for the country that we will initiate to test technologies and adapt the appropriate regulation according to the technologies that we see that emerge and prove themselves, and to connect regulation accordingly. This is about the enclosed drone testing facility. It will be safe. And this dual use will enable uses that are also for the military industries or defense industries. Things that cannot be tested elsewhere. Also, we're assessing the possibility to takeoff and landing sites to serve the drones, the more complex, larger drone. And here, this is my opportunity also to invite you all to a roundtable that we are planning on December 1st, to a discourse, a combined discussion we will have from the initiative to hear you as far as your needs, problems, challenges. This roundtable will be in Ayalon, the company, in the city of Rishon LeZion. We will send out an official invitation with, we will be happy if you all come and voice your concerns and your ideas, and to make this as accessible as possible to you all, and to answer as many needs as possible and move forward hand in hand. If there are questions about this, You can send me an email, it's on the screen, and we will later send you an invitation, so thank you very much.